Mantras of our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says, our nature acts on a basis of confusion and restless compulsion to action. The Divine acts freely out of a fathomless calm. Into that abyss of tranquility we must plunge and become that if we are to annul the hold of the lower nature upon the soul. With love and blessings, says our Divine Mother.
But Savitri answered to the sophist god, if the chamber's door is even a little ajar, what then can hinder God from stealing in, or who forbid his kiss on the sleeping soul? Already God is near, the truth is close. A lonely freedom cannot satisfy a heart that has borne one with every heart. I am a deputy of the aspiring world. My spirit's liberty I ask for all.
Words of our Lord Sri Aurobindo from the compilations of the collective works of our Lord and our Divine Mother, book The Psychic Being, compiled by A.S. Dalal, page 7, topic Meaning and Nature of the Psychic Being. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, ordinarily all the more inward and all the abnormal psychological experiences are called psychic. I use the word psychic for the soul as distinguished from mental and vital. All moments and experiences of the soul would in that sense be called psychic. Those which rise from or directly touch the psychic being, where mind and vital predominate, the experience would be called psychological or surface or occult, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, the word soul has various meanings according to the context. It may mean the Purusha supporting the formation of Prakriti, which we call a being, though the proper word would be rather a becoming. It may mean, on the other hand, specifically the psychic being in an evolutionary creature like man. It may mean the spark of the divine which has been put into matter by the descent of the divine into the material world and which upholds all evolving formations here. There is and can be no psychic being in a non-evolutionary creature like the Asura. There can be none in a God who does not and need one for his existence. But what the God has is a Purusha and a Prakriti or energy of the nature of that Purusha. If any being of the typical worlds want to evolve, he has to come down to earth and take a human body and accept to share in the evolution. It is because they do not want to do this that the vital beings try to possess men so that they may enjoy the materialities of the physical life without having the burden of the evolution or the process of conversion in which it culminates, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Some questions answered by a Divine Mother. Question, Sweet Mother, what is exactly meant by soul or psychic being?
This mighty art thou, with the great goddess Spirit, to whom thou criest at dawn in the dim wood. Use not thy strength like the wild Titan soul. Touch not the seated lines, the ancient lore. Respect the calm of great established things. But Savitri replied to the huge god, what is the calm thou vowest, O Lord, O death? I trample on thy law with living feet, for till hiding freedom I was born.
Question, Sweet Mother, what exactly is the soul or psychic being? And what is meant by the evolution of the psychic being? What is its relation to the Supreme? For this, our Divine Mother says, the soul and the psychic being are not exactly the same thing, although their essence is the same. The soul, says our Divine Mother, the soul is the divine spark that dwells at the center of each being. It is identical with its divine origin. It is the divine in man. The psychic being is formed progressively around this divine center. The soul, in the course of its innumerable lives in the terrestrial evolution, until the time comes when the psychic being, fully formed and wholly awakened, becomes the conscious sheath of the soul around which it is formed, and thus identified with the divine, it becomes his perfect instrument in the world, says our Divine Mother. Question, Sweet Mother, in the human being, is the psychic being the entire soul, or do both the soul in its essence as a divine spark in all creatures and psychic being exist together? For this, our Divine Mother says, the soul is the eternal essence at the center of the psychic being. The soul is in fact like a divine spark. The soul is in fact like a divine spark which puts on many states of being of increasing density down to the most material. It is inside the body within the solar plexus, so as to say, these states of being take form and develop, progress, become individualized and perfected in the course of many earthly lives and form the psychic being. When the psychic being is fully formed, it is aware of the consciousness of the soul and manifests it perfectly, says our Divine Mother. Question, Are the soul and the psychic being one and the same thing, sweet mother? For this, our divine mother says, that depends on the definition you give to the words. In most religions and perhaps in most philosophies also, it is the vital being which is called the soul, for it is said that the soul leaves the body while it is the vital being which leaves the body. One speaks of saving the soul, wicked souls redeeming the souls, but all that applies to the vital being, for the psychic being has no need to be saved. It does not share the faults of the external person. It is free from all reactions, says our Divine Mother. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says a distinction has to be made between the soul in its essence and the psychic being. Behind each and all, there is the soul, which is the spark of the divine. None could exist without that. But it is quite possible to have a vital and physical being without a clearly evolved psychic being behind it. Still, one cannot make general statements that no aboriginal has a soul or there is no display of soul anywhere. And Lord Sri Aurobindo says, the inner being is composed of inner mental, inner vital, inner physical, but that is not the psychic being. The psychic is the inmost being and is quite distinct from these. The word psychic is indeed used in India, used in English to indicate anything that is other or deeper than the external mind and life and body, anything occult or supraphysical, but that is a use which brings confusion and error, and we entirely discard it when we speak or write about yoga. In ordinary parlance, we may sometimes use the word psychic in the looser popular sense, or in poetry, which is not bound to intellectual accuracy. We may speak of the soul sometimes in the ordinary and more external sense, or in the sense of the true psyche. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says the psychic being is wheeled by the surface movements and expresses itself as best it can through these outer instruments, which are more governed by outer forces than by the inner influences of the psychic. But that does not mean that they are entirely isolated from the soul. The soul is in the body in the same way as the mind or vital, but the body it occupies is not this gross physical frame only, but the subtle body also. When the gross sheath falls away, the vital and mental sheaths of the body still remain as the soul's vehicle till these two dissolve. The soul of a plant or an animal is not altogether dormant, only only its means of expression are less developed than those of a human being. There is much that is psychic in the plant, much that is psychic in the animal. The plant has only the vital physical evolved in its form, so it cannot express itself. The animal has a vital mind and can, but its consciousness is limited and its experiences are limited. So the psychic presence has a less developed consciousness and experience than is present or at least possible in man. All the same, animals have a soul and can respond very readily to the psychic in man. The ghost is, of course, not the soul. It is either the man appearing in his vital body or it is a fragment of his vital that is seized on by some vital force or being. The vital part of us normally exists after the dissolution of the body for some time and passes away into the vital plane where it remains till the vital sheath dissolves. Afterwards, it passes, if it is mentally evolved, in the mental sheath to in some mental world, and finally the psychic leaves the mental sheath also and goes to its place of rest. If the mental is strongly developed, then the mental part of us can remain, and so also can the vital, provided they are organized by and centered around the true psychic being, for they then share the immortality of the psychic. Otherwise, the psychic draws mind and life into itself and enters into an internal quiescence, says our Lord. Sri Aurobindo.